Today we're solving equations when we see the variable on both sides. So there's a little more work to be done with those type of equations, but it is all pretty manageable, especially if we follow the provided checklist. So step one, when you're faced with a long equation, is to simplify it, which means just make it shorter. And you have to, when you make it shorter, you have to remember the order of operations. Order of operations is just PEMDAS. Remember, parentheses first, then exponents, multiplication or division, whatever comes first from left to right. And then after you handle that, your addition and your subtraction. All right, after you simplify it, the next step you want to take in the checklist is to make sure the variable is only on one side of the equal sign. We don't want to have X or whatever letter on both sides. Got to move it, typically by adding or subtracting the term, so it's only on one side of the equal sign. Step number 3 is just to get the variable alone, which is pretty much what you've been doing with one-step and two-step equations. We're going to get the variable alone by using reverse PEMDAS, where you move what's added or subtracted first, then you move what's being multiplied or divided, then you move your exponent, which typically doesn't pop up in 7th and 8th grade, and lastly, you'll take care of the parentheses. All right, after that is all done, it's always a good idea to check to make sure you have the right answer. You should never get a problem wrong in algebra because you can always check to make sure it's actually a solution. Okay, so let's look at an example. We got an example 1, and remember the title of this notes is solving equations variable on both sides of the equal sign. We see here how we have an h on the left side and an h in a term on the right side. So let's do step 1 first, if possible. Step 1 is to simplify or make it shorter. Well, looking at what we got, I actually cannot do anything. I cannot make this any shorter. The only option I have is to try to do addition, and I'm not allowed to add 10 plus 3h. They are not like terms. So I cannot simplify this one. I go to step 2, which is to get to the variable only on one side of the equal side. So I can do that one. I am going to choose to move 3h away from this side of the equal sign, because then I'll just have a constant. I'll just have 10. The reason I choose to move 3h is because I look at the term on the other side of the equal sign and I say, oh, this has an h. So if I move this h term over to the other side, I'll only have h's on this side, or terms with h's on this side, and constants, regular numbers, on the other side. So to move plus 3h, I'm going to have to subtract 3h. What I do to one side, I do to the other. These are going to equal 0, so they'll cancel out. I'll be left with 10 equals, then negative 2h minus 3h is going to give me negative 5h. So there we go. We only have h on one side of the equal sign now. All right, step 3, get the variable alone by doing reverse PEMDAS. So to get the variable alone, we're talking about h is the variable. Right now I have negative 5 times h, because no symbol means multiplication. I'm going to have to use division, and I'm going to divide by negative 5 on both sides. So we go, 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2. These cancel out. We're left with h. So h equals negative 2, and we can just check that really quick. Always worth it to do a check, takes a minute, but it could save you from getting an incorrect answer. So I'm going to write the exact same equation, except instead of my variable h, I'm going to substitute the solution we found. So instead of 10 plus 3h, I'm going to do 10 plus 3 parentheses negative 2, and over here we're going to have negative 2 times negative 2. Okay, so let's just solve this through now. 10 plus 3 times negative 2 will give me negative 6. Negative 2 times negative 2 over here will give me negative 4. Or no, I'm sorry, positive 4. Uh-oh. Because two negatives, when we multiply, equal positive. Right, next line down, 10 plus negative 6, sure enough, equals positive 4. So that is a true statement. That tells us negative 2 is a solution. All right. So one more example. We'll keep this video somewhat short and sweet today. All right, this example, we're asked to solve for f. So going through the checklist again, step number 1, if you look at your notebook where you should have wrote your notes down in, step 1 is to simplify. So to simplify, we can actually simplify this one. We can simplify the right side of this equation because we see how we have 10 plus 3f plus 1. So we have two constants here. We have a 10 and a 1 that can be combined. Those are like terms, so we can combine them for 11. On the other side, 5f minus 7, we can't combine that. They are not like terms. So we have to leave those separate. So there we go. We simplified it. We made it a little shorter. Now we want to get the variable on one side of the equal sign. I'm going to choose to move this 3f away from this side of the equal sign, because I know I'm going to have to do minus 3f. What I do to one side, I do to the other. I put it underneath the 5f because that's the only term I can actually subtract 3f from. Now we're going to have 2f minus 7 over here. Now over here, 3f minus 3f equals 0. Well, we don't need to put 11 plus 0. We can just put 11. All right, now we're on to step 3, where we are just trying to get the variable alone. I'm going to move what's added or subtracted first. So I notice subtract 7. I'm going to do the opposite by adding 7 to both sides. Those will cancel out there. We'll have 2f equals 18. Last thing we have to do, divide each side by 2. These cancel out. We'll have f equals 9. F equals 9. Always pays to do a check. 5 and then f equals 9. So instead of 5f, I'll put 5 parentheses 9 minus 7 equals 10 plus 3. Instead of f, I'll put parentheses 9 plus 1. All right, solving this through, 5 times 9 is 45. Three times 9 is 27. All right, 45 minus 7 is going to give us 38. And over here, let's see, 10 plus 27 is 37. 37 plus 1 is 38. So sure enough, it is a solution because it makes the equation true. So 9 is a solution. There we have it.